What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from the quartering. Some wild updates from over the weekend. There was a rally attempt to gather support in Austin Metcalf's name, which went as badly as I expected. Multiple arrests. The whole thing was just a mess. Then his dad coming out and really disappointing a lot of people. And in fact, basically his dad, Austin's dad, really appears to be kind of a ideologically trapped leftist who is still kind of pushing his leftist ideology even in this particular case, which people are upset about. And he came out and basically attacked the people that were hosting this rally. The whole thing is sad, but we're going to take a look at some of those updates. We've got a Karmelo update later today as the grift goes to a new level. But let's talk about this rally, okay? This Frisco, Texas rally. I knew that it was, it was put on by this guy named Jake Lang, who is a bit of a chameleon, who did spend some time locked up for J6, but then he lost a lot of kind of my respect by basically going after his dad and blaming his dad for his son's death and all sorts of really cringe stuff. I support people wanting to get together. I support people wanting to call out what is clearly a problem. But I just don't think that this kid's dad owes them any kind of time or any kind of endorsement or sound bites. We're going to look at this whole mess. But here is this gigantic rally that took place. They had rented a very expensive bus. I don't know who paid for this bus and wrapped it. But there's about 6 people at this event and 2 or 3 agitators. You could see one of the people there got pepper sprayed. 2 different people got arrested. I thought
I wore this due to the fact that I just wanted to see how barbaric the people were. This is clearly Karmelo Anthony,
The back says Anthony?
player.
You said the back says Anthony?
Yes, it says Karmelo Anthony, the professional basketball player, not the person involved in this case. And I just wanted to see how ignorant the people were and who don't know ball. This is elite ball, knowledge. So I just wanted to see if anyone caught that. No one's ever came up to me and had an issue with it. I think they're just a little, a little timid, a little confused. You're wearing a murderer on your shirt. I'm like, not necessarily. So yeah.
All these people.
So you had about all these people. You have less than 10 people who showed up. And there's just as many agitators, and I don't really understand what's going on here. There are tens of thousands of people retweeting this guy and saying that I'm a loser for telling people not to attend what appeared to be a Fed op to me. And none of them seem to bother showing up at this event. Now, Austin Metcalf's dad's response was a little disappointing. And there's also some other interesting stuff going on in this case. So what we may not know, or what you may not know, is the police have confiscated over 70 cell phones from students to ensure that no footage of the incident was ever leaked. So we don't know this for sure. We don't know what's on those phones, but the implication here is that people had video evidence of maybe what went on, and they didn't want that getting leaked to the internet. That's an odd thing to do. His father, Jeff, brought a large African-American bodyguard. They say to keep him in line and stifle any white person who mentions that it was racially motivated. Again, I don't know that it was racially motivated. There's no evidence of that yet. If it exists, okay. But I'm just trying to keep be unbiased here. We still have a situation where this guy lost his son. I don't care if he's a dork leftist. That doesn't make it okay. That doesn't make him, his son probably didn't have his dad's politics. Yeah, I know. I've seen the posts going around the internet. Oh, Austin Metcalf's dad posted a Kwanzaa thing on Facebook. Okay, well, what does that have to do with Austin? Nothing. And you have Jeff Metcalf had a humiliation apology tour on the media where he sympathizes with the guy who took his son's life. Now, here's a little weirdness. Austin Metcalf's dad has some sort of bodyguard or security or handler that showed up at this event. Again, which had about 7 people at it. And they had this conversation, which I think is pretty sad on this, you watch.
Would you be willing to stand by me in a press conference or in an individual interview and talk about this issue that is larger than Austin at this point? God rest the beautiful young man's soul that would have been one of our strongest voices if he was still alive today. Yes, I am, sir.
Okay, my turn to speak. You are part of the fucking problem, my friend.
Says you're part of the problem, my friend.
You're trying to create more race divide than bridging the gap. I do not condone anything you do. You do not have any fucking...
That's called white guilt.
No, let it talk.
My son, let me finish. I give you your time. You take my son's face off your website. I am not associated with you.
You're creating more Austin Metcalfs with your weakness, sir.
Again, let's take politics out of this, okay? This guy just buried his son, and this other individual who appears to be, wanting to create some sort of money or grift off of this, is saying, well, if you don't stand by me, other young men are going to suffer the same fate as your son. It's just gross. I can feel people typing in the comments right now. Yeah, but he's right. Okay, cool. I want you to go talk to some dad who just lost his son and tell him what to think. Grieving is a personal process. This guy does appear to be, at first I thought he was just being a good Christian man, saying like, hey, forgiveness, this is what the Bible teaches. But he does appear to be a leftist. But I'm asking, Jake Lang, who's, again, demanding that this father of this who just lost his son stand by him and get involved in something where he just doesn't want to be involved in it. It's not a good look for this guy. It's weird. Now, the dad sending this like guy down with a cell phone to talk to them is also weird, but none of that changes what happened to Austin Metcalf.
You are creating more Austin Metcalfs
Black
with your
man
weakness.
Here, you are being weak. I gotta be honest with you about that, sir.
You're being weak. Condemn your son's killer and the culture that caused it.
Hey, Jeff.
That's the problem. You've been submitted.
Hold on, hey, Jeff.
You've been submitted.
I'll handle it from here.
You've been submitted, sir.
You're not gonna make
If
us
we
back
were all,
down.
if we were all
You're not
of
gonna make
your
us back
nature,
down.
Guys, listen.
You're
Let me
not
say
gonna
this.
save
What a
us.
weak
Not
man.
Do you know who you're talking to? You don't, do you?
I'm talking to a black man.
You don't. No, you're not.
Okay.
You sit here, you talk about Trump.
But I am. You're not
Google
gonna
my
make me back
name
down.
and Trump. No. When you do that, my name is Bruce.
I agree with black males
No,
winning,
Google that.
but they're not winning
but
right
what
now.
You're doing,
They're becoming
but what
degenerates
you're doing
and murdering white
you're
people.
not helping America. You're no more patriotic than I am. No way.
Silent is
Where
not
were you
helping.
on
No way.
January
You've been
6th?
silent. It's only gotten worse.
Where were you on January
just
6th?
been
when they
silent.
about
It's only
Where I
gotten
was?
worse.
Where were you? Did you stand for your country
So you
when they
think that
stole our
made you
vote?
patriot because you showed up there? Does that make you a patriot?
Joe
What's your
Biden,
Because you
solution?
Joe
showed
Biden
up.
is a
All you're doing is
pedophile.
condemning us. What's your
My
solution?
solution is to help people where they're weak. So we have an issue in young black males' lives across the country.
It's not
It doesn't
say that to
matter.
Jeff
Nothing's
Metcalf.
changed. Say that to Jeff Metcalf.
We talk about it, man.
Say it.
At the end of the
So
day,
then- so
the
then
man
what
is
is his-
asking.
his-
So let me ask you this: you got a father who's grieving, and your response is he's weak.
My father is celebrating my strength right now.
You have no idea. You'll never win the Senate. And what I'll do, I'll come to Florida and run for Senate and run as a Republican, and I'll kick your butt.
Again, this is the guy that has been Jeff Metcalf's kind of handler. The whole thing is getting very weird. Look, I don't know this Jake Lang guy. He seems to be a liar. Here he uploaded a video pretending he was at the site that this young man lost his life when he wasn't. He lied in this video. You see, I just broke into the stadium and got the first ever footage of his blood stain on the stadium floor. His blood cries out for justice. Again, yes, it does. But Jake Lang did not break into the stadium. He pointed to a random rust stain on the ground. You can see this individual video is filming on the home side of the stadium. Amanda McCune, a district spokeswoman, said The incident occurred on the visitor side, which can be seen across the field when he turns the camera on himself. He's not even on the right side of the field.
Stadium. There's the blood stain.
That is a rust stain from metal bleachers. Even I can see that. So again, there's going to be people that are defending this guy, saying, you know, because they agree that Austin Metcalf deserves justice, and I do too. But this guy ain't doing anybody anything good. 20,000 likes for a guy pointing at a rust stain on the ground. There's the blood stain. He knew that it wasn't right. He uploaded the video anyway. He got community noted, and he still hasn't deleted it. You know, I knew this rally was a bad idea. Now the media is using satisfying moment. Austin Metcalf's dad puts white nationalists in his place for trying to exploit his son's death. Look, this Jake Lang guy is 100% in his right to cover this, to talk about it, probably even to put this guy's, you know, Austin's picture on his website. I don't really know the legalities of that. The dad does appear completely uninterested in, you know, addressing an overarching issue here, but he doesn't have to do that. He doesn't have to stand next to this guy, by the way, who vacillates from being Jewish to white to whatever, you know, seeks him, you know, suits him best, seems to be an issue. There's some, like, again, this guy, I don't like him. Then again, Austin Metcalf's dad calling these protesters, you know, white trash and stuff like that is cringe and bad too. Anytime you have people coming in and, you know, inserting themselves, it's complicated because, look, I cover it every day too. I'm not going to pretend like I don't know Austin or his dad. I'm not crying crocodile tears, and I'm just trying to cover it fairly. These guys are cringe. You know, 20, 30, 40,000 likes on their tweet and people calling me a cuck for pointing out this is probably a fed up. None of those people even bothered to show up. He didn't even know how to spell the city name right on the banner. You know, and you have a bunch of people showing up, getting pepper sprayed. You've got a bunch of African-American agitators and Antifa showing up here. You've got this weirdo getting arrested wearing a face diaper. None of this is good for Austin Metcalf and for getting the message out. I mean, yeah, it makes headlines, but now the media is turning on people who support him. I don't think Jake Lang is a white nationalist. I don't know. I know that telling the dad of a guy, who just buried his son, that it's his fault, or that other people, you know, will now die because he won't support your message is wild. You know, the story should be on, you know, this guy, you know, Jake Lang trying to run for office or whatever he wants to do. You know, there's going to be grifters, but he's no different than this like Timu Al Sharpton defending the other family. There's no evidence. It's a race-related issue. There are race-related issues to discuss that lead to these type of things. But we don't know that there's any race-related issue here between these two. And I think stating that as a fact, and then renting a tour bus and breaking into the stadium and lying about what's up. I mean, just tell the truth. The story in and of itself is already bad enough. This guy is doing nobody any good. And his stupid rally is doing nobody any good. And, you know, again, you see, I've talked to Metcalf family. Jake Lang hasn't, but he's organizing a protest in support of him. Does the family even want this rally? No, they don't. Let's say the dad is some cucked out lib, like everyone's saying, does it really change anything? Any details of this case? No. If the dad doesn't want you putting his kid's picture on your rally, I think that's totally reasonable. The dad can be wrong. We can disagree with his political ideology and things like that. But this is very, very weird. I hope you're informed by this video. We're going to stay on this because there's all sorts of stuff going on. We'll talk to you again real soon.